23rd November 1905. Serious charges against the Rhyl bankrupt. The higher system of mystery digging. It took £15 to realise £7. Interesting and extraordinary evidence. For nearly 7 hours a special bench of Rhyl magistrates was on Tuesday occupied in hearing charges of an unusual nature against a young Rhyl bankrupt. Mr. W.L.W. Williams presided, and his colleagues were Messrs. John Fowkes and J.H. Ellis. The prisoner was William John Johnson, of Gwibber Cottage, Sisson Street, and the first charge against him was for having stolen a Greyhound, the property of Joseph Roberts, of 1 Brickfield Terrace. He pleaded guilty in a way, but was under the impression that the dog was his. Roberts, having identified the dog, prisoner said he did not know it was that man's dog. He had sent the dog away to Bourne in Lincolnshire in exchange for another dog. As soon as he knew who the proper owner was, he wrote off for the Greyhound to be returned at all costs. In order to get it back he had to give another dog of his own and 14 shillings. He was under the impression at the time that the dog had been given to him. Before adjudicating on this case, the bench went on to hear a series of charges against Johnson for breaches of the Bankruptcy Acts. He was charged with a. Disposing of property obtained on credit and for which he had not paid within 4 months of filing his petition, with intent to defraud; b. Moving a certain part of his property to the value of £10 and upwards within the same specified time; and c. Unlawfully neglecting to discover and deliver to his trustee all his property. It was also announced that a charge of false pretences would be preferred. Mr. W. Lewis, London, appeared for the Director of Public Prosecutions to conduct the prosecution, and prisoner had no legal assistance. Official evidence. Mr. Daniel Burns, a clerk in the employ of the registrar, gave evidence referring to Johnson's bankruptcy. He was described as William John Johnson, trading as John Johnson, and carrying on business at Gwibber Cottage, Sisson Street, Rhyl, as a coal dealer and carriage proprietor. Upon the file was an order by Judge Sir Horatio Lloyd, dated September 26, 1905, directing prosecution for certain offences therein mentioned. Daniel Williams, of 35 Victoria Street, Liverpool, stated that from October 29, 1904 to March 1905, in his capacity as Assistant Official Receiver at Chester, he had the conduct of proceedings in relation to Johnson's bankruptcy. In the file produced he found that prisoner petitioned the court on November 29, 1904, that a receiving order was made the same day, and further that the defendant was adjudicated a bankrupt. At his preliminary examination the defendant mentioned the Paddington Furnishing Company as a firm to whom he was indebted, turning to the statement of affairs, which was sworn on the 2nd of December, 1904, and filed on the following day. The prisoner returned his unsecured creditors at £259 18 shillings 3 pence and his deficiencies at £231 13 shillings. The list of unsecured creditors contained the names of the Deer and Reed Cycle Company, Norwich, for £10 in respect of a cycle supplied in 1904, and Mr. Greenwood, Bedford, for £4 4 shillings 6 pence. The Paddington Furnishing Company were not returned as creditors, nor also did he find the name of R. Williams Latham returned as a creditor. Each page of the statement of affairs was purported to be signed by the defendant. Referring to creators fully secured, witness found the prisoner returning as creditors the National Loan Society, Corporation Street, Manchester, for £35 for money lent in April 1904, the security being a bill of sale on the furniture and other property. The holder of the bill was, in fact, a Mr. Sam Rossingthal, of Manchester and Wrexham, who traded as the National Loan Society. The prisoner also stated in his statement of affairs, portion of furniture, carriages, and other property was sold by public auction under the power of a bill of sale, and the other portion was seized under a distress for rent. On the deficiency account, Witness found the following items: cost of county court judgments, £18 15 shillings 3 pence, interest paid on loans, £24 10 shillings, loss on seizure and sale of furniture and other goods, £13. Prisoner underwent his public examination at Bangor on January the 12th, 1905, when he was examined by witness, the examination being closed. It was subsequently reopened in consequence of information received, a second public hearing taking place on June the 1st. The chairman's doubts. Mr. L.W. Williams elicited the fact that the witness had resigned his position prior to the second public examination, and doubted his right to give evidence as to what took place on that occasion. Mr. Lewis said that the witness was speaking from the filed transcript of the questions and answers at both of prisoner's public examinations, and it was perfectly competent for him or anybody to speak as to what had been submitted to the defendant and signed on every page by him. The Act provided that anybody could give evidence from the files 100 years hence if necessary. Witness continuing, said that at his first public examination prisoner was asked whether he had not included in the bill of sale many things that were not paid for, but he made no answer. At his second examination he said he had furniture on which he had given a bill of sale. He further said that he had sold the incubator and the fowl house, but that his wife on credit, and sold it 3 weeks afterwards for £1, although the cost of it was £4 4 shillings 6 pence. He denied that he got the incubator for the purpose of raising money. With regard to the furniture, he admitted that he had asked Mr. Jose Williams to sell furniture for him on 1 or 2 occasions. It was pointed out that his statement did not disclose the fact that he owed the Paddington Furnishing Company £36 odd. The furniture was obtained on the hire purchase system, and he told the audit he was positive he disclosed that fact to the gentleman at Rhyl who made out his statement. The registrar asked him whether he meant that he did not leave out the claim of the company intentionally, and he replied that so far as he knew he had not left it out at all. He paid a deposit of £1 7 shillings on the furniture and had paid nothing further. He denied that he got the furniture simply to sell it, but because he thought of furnishing a house and taking in visitors. The thought of getting the furniture in order to realize on it never entered his head. When Mr. Williams sold the furniture, he did not tell him that it was on the hire purchase system, but told him that it was his own. The sum of £9 11 shillings was realized on the furniture, for which he owed the company £12 18 shillings. He thought he had the right to sell the furniture as he did not quite understand the hire purchase system. The registrar put the following question to him: did you not really procure the furniture, bicycle, incubator, and lean-to shed simply to raise money? The prisoner answered, no, for I was going to start a poultry farm. The auctioneer, he added, asked him how much he gave for the furniture which he had hired, and when he told him, comment was, I have never seen such rotten stuff in my life. Laughter. Prisoner also alleged that he was losing money every day. He only paid 10 shillings deposit on the bicycle and sold it for £3. Mr. Joseph Williams, auctioneer, Rhyl, said that someone was in possession on August the 18th, 1904, at defendant's home on behalf of the holder of the bill of sale. On September the 30th, 1904, defendant gave instructions to sell certain furniture by auction. Defendant afterwards brought the furniture into the warehouse ready for sale. Witness sent for defendant and his wife and told them that the furniture was very new and wanted to know before he sold it if it belonged to them, and also reminded them that it was important that he should also know whether it was procured on the hire system, because if so he would have nothing to do with it. Both declared that the furniture was absolutely their own property and that they bought it from a party to whom they had paid either £3 or £4 on account. He repeated the question as to whether this was a hiring agreement, and both said, number. Witness got defendant to sign a statement that the goods were their absolute property and were not on hire. Witness said he was cautious, because he has his suspicions. No reserve was asked. They said they wanted to complete the purchase of goods and to have a little money in hand. On October the 6th, 1904, he conducted a sale at 11 Aquarium Street of part of the furniture, and it realized £2.12. On October the 8th, witness paid Johnson 10 shillings in cash, and on the 10th £1.15, and he charged commission 8 shillings and gave a cheque for 9 shillings to Johnson. On October the 17th, he conducted a further sale of a portion of the same furniture at 8 Aquarium Street and realised on the prisoner's behalf £9.11, £9.02 of which was on account of the hired furniture. He charged £1.08 commission. On November the 2nd, an agent for the landlord had levied for arrears of rent to the extent of £10.01 in order to realise he sold, among other articles, on November the 8th, a telescope dining table and an oven mantle, 2 of the hired articles. The 2 articles, which cost £7, were sold for £2.18. The total amount realised for the hired furniture was £14.12. Mr. L.W. Williams, that was realised on articles which were supposed to be worth £40.13. Mr. Lewis, not quite that, £36.13. Mr. L.W. Williams, is it true that you said that the furniture was poor stuff? Mr. Williams, it was poor furniture, the cheapest furniture that could be made. Mr. L.W. Williams, it would not be worth £40. Mr. Williams, in Flatty, oh dear, number Harry Beaumont, Kings Avenue, Rhyl, clerk to the last witness, remembered Johnson bringing furniture to the warehouse, and he thought it was on September the 30th, 1904. They were the hired goods which were subsequently sold by Mr. Williams. He corroborated as to the conversation which took place between Mr. Williams and Johnson and his wife. Cross-examined by prisoner, the witness said that Mrs. Johnson did say that the goods were the property of her husband and herself. When asked by Mr. Williams, prisoner said they were not on the hire system, and a few seconds afterwards he nudged his wife, and she made a statement to the same effect. Got the furniture. William Henry Jones, manager of the Paddington Furnishing Company, explained that in September 1904, defendant entered into a hire purchase agreement with his firm, under which he was to pay 27 shillings per month for furniture amounting to £39.16 3. Defendant having paid the first deposit of 27 shillings, the furniture was dispatched to Rhyl. Repeated applications were afterwards made for the monthly instalments as they fell due, but to no avail, and he subsequently found that the prisoner had left Gubber Cottage, and that the goods had been sold. The company wrote demanding an explanation of the fact that all the furniture had been removed from the house, and he replied that he had been up and down the country looking for work. All the information he could give was that the landlord had seized part of the furniture for rent, and Messrs. Aston's another part under power of a bill of sale. He added that he was extremely sorry for what had occurred. He was a ruined man, but hoped to be able to do some good to the company in the future. Witness first heard of the prisoner's bankruptcy on January the 14th, 1905. He had heard what had been deposed by Mr. Joseph Williams, and could swear that no authority had been given to the prisoner to sell the company's goods. Witness said that Mr. Lewis was quite correct in saying that the goods sold by Mr. Joseph Williams for £14.12 were priced by the company in the agreement with prisoner at £36.12. William Potter, of 29 Smithfield Road, Wrexham, an auctioneer's clerk, said that in August 1904 he was in Rhyl, and whilst there was put in possession as bailiff by Mr. Aston, auctioneer, of Wrexham. He went in possession of Gubber Cottage, Sisson Street, the prisoner's residence, on August the 12th. The distraint was put in on behalf of the National Loan Society of Manchester. Witness produced the original bill of sale, the consideration of which was £30. They only realized £6. Under the same bill of sale, witness again went into possession of the same house on November the 18th. On the 29th of November, Mr. Aston sold the furniture which was then upon the premises. The amount still due at that time on the bill of sale was £34 15 shillings. 60% interest. Mr. L.W. Williams, does that include the 60% interest? Witness, yes. Continuing, witness said that the receipts of the second sale were £6 17 shillings 3 pence, and the expenses came to £6 7 pence. Laughter. Leaving a net balance of 16 shillings 8 pence. Frederick George Potter said he traded as the Dereham Road Cycle Company, Norwich, and advertised to sell bicycles on the instalment plan. In September 1904, he entered into communication with Mr. Evans, via house, Rhyl, who asked to be furnished with a catalogue which was forwarded. The terms of hire. Rhyl, who asked to be furnished with a catalogue which was forwarded. The terms of hire purchase were that tens should be paid as a first installment, and that the hero must find a bondsman to guarantee payment of the other installments. Prisoner sent the first installment of 10 shillings for a 10-guinea gents machine, and a Mr. David Evans was named by Johnson as his bondsman. Relieving that Johnson was in a position to carry out the undertaking, witness entered into the usual hire purchase agreement with him, and subsequently forwarded the cycle specified. 10 shillings should have been paid each month, but witness did not receive anything further, and got no answer to the letters which he wrote. He heard nothing more of the matter until communicated with by the official receiver in May of the present year. Pawned the cycle. Joshua West, 19, Beaconsfield Street, Chester, said he was a pawnbroker, and on November the 29th, 1904, received a bicycle in pawn from the defendant. Defendant, he believed it was the defendant, asked for an advance on the machine, and witness asked him whether he had a receipt for it. He said he had not got one with him, but he would fetch it. He went out and returned with a receipt, which witness retained until the bicycle was sold. The receipt was made out in ink, and bore a stamp, and it looked an olden one, else witness suspicions would have been aroused. Witness asked the defendant his address, and he said W. Jones, 53, High Street, Rhyl. Witness offered him an advance of £2 10 shillings 6 pence, and the prisoner accepted it. Subsequently, witness received a letter from Mr. Wood, and in consequence made out a fresh ticket in that gentleman's name, who paid off the amount and interest, and took away the bicycle on March 17, 1905, witness handing him the receipt. James Chambers Wood, a grocer, Abbey Street, said he did not know the defendant. He came into possession of the pawn ticket for the cycle from Parker Owen sometime last November or December. Witness purchased the ticket for 10 shillings. Anticipated trouble. Asked why he purchased the ticket in November or December and did not redeem the bicycle until the following March, witness said he put the ticket in a drawer and let it lie there a few months because he thought if there was any trouble about the cycle he would give them time to ferret it out. Miss Alice Greenwood, 12, Sydney Road, Bedford, said her late father carried on the business of an incubator manufacturer. Since February 1904, she had conducted the business for the executors. In answer to a letter, a catalogue was forwarded to J. Johnson, and subsequently in September last came a request from the prisoner to forward a Ladysmith incubator, priced at £4 4 shillings, for which he promised to forward a cheque upon receipt. The incubator was supplied, but no cheque was ever received, nor was the arrival of the incubator acknowledged. George Raymond Shepherd, Yacht Farm, Rhyl, deposed that on May the 14th of this year Parker Owen spoke to him about an incubator, and subsequently Johnson interviewed him on the same subject. The latter exhibited the incubator, which witness understood was his property, and said he wanted cash, the loan of 10 shillings on account. It was agreed that if the incubator worked correctly, witness was to buy it, and meantime witness handed over 10 shillings on account, another £1 15 shillings to be paid if the incubator was a success. The incubator, however, was not a success, and witness saw Johnson some 3 months later, told him he could take the incubator away when he brought the 10 shillings deposit. Witness kept the incubator, as the defendant did not produce the deposit money. Here prisoner's wife from the back of the court advised her husband to up and tell them who it was in with him, and how that neither he nor herself had any of the money. Joseph Parker Owen, 24, Christie Road, Crewe, managing agent, said he knew the defendant. The prisoner came to him in November 1904 and showed him a pawn ticket for a bicycle which he wanted to sell. Witness told him he thought he could sell it for him, and eventually did dispose of it to Mr. J.C. Wood, a previous witness. Witness received a shilling or two out of the money. With regard to the incubator, Johnson came to him in May and said he had an incubator for sale, and asked witness to find a purchaser. He endeavored to do so, but made nothing out of the transaction with Mr. Shepherd. The Fowl House. Richard William Lardham, portable buildings manufacturer at Wrexham, said that some time ago he carried on business at Bridlington, in Yorkshire. On October 1, 1904, Johnson wrote for a portable lean-to-fowl house to cost 25 shillings, and promised to send cheque upon receipt. Witness sent the fowl house, but had not received the cheque. His wife wrote once, however, saying that he was away from home. William Williams, Fern Villa, Church Street, Rhyl, dental surgeon, said he had known Johnson for a few months. He bought the poultry house from him on October 28, 1905, for the sum of 8 shillings 6 pence. He gave us his reason for selling it, that he was very badly off, and for that reason, although he did not want it, witness bought it. David Edwards, a traveller, living at 2, North Terrace, Rhyl, said he knew Johnson very well, and saw him sign the agreement with the Paddington Furniture Company. With regard to the bicycle, witness appeared as a bondsman, Johnson assuring him it was a matter of form. It was not true that he bought the furniture, the bicycle, or the incubator from the prisoner, and he also denied that he had made anything out of the sale of those things. He did not write the receipt given to the Chester pawnbroker, and knew nothing about the prisoner, describing himself as single quote W. Jones, 53, High Street, Rhyl. Robert Jones, 72, Vale Road, Rhyl, a railway carter, deposed to delivering the furniture consigned from London to Glupper Cottage. Johnson signed the delivery sheet. Along with the furniture came the incubator. Eli Williams, another railway cartman, of Pennerkifndy, spoke as to the delivery of the bicycle at Johnson's house. David Williams, 22, Ernest Street, Rhyl, a third railway carter, deposed to the delivery of the lean-to-fowl house. Cost of realization. Mr. John Tobias, of Crypt Chambers, Chester, assistant official receiver, said that when he succeeded Mr. Dan Williams in that position in March last, he continued the investigations with regard to Johnson's bankruptcy. In his own statement, his assets were put down at £28 1 shillings 2 pence, after allowing £5 on the petition stamp, but they only realised £7 1 shilling 6 pence. His liabilities were returned at £259 18 shillings 6 pence, to which must be added the £39 12 shillings 6 pence owing to the furnishing company. The cost of the realization of the bankrupt's assets was £15 1 shillings 2 pence, so that there was a balance against the estate of £7 1 shillings 10 pence. Mr. Daniel Williams recalled, said that on November the 29th, 1904, when prisoner visited Chester to file his petition, he said he had walked from Rhyl and asked witness to make him an allowance for the fare back, as he had absolutely no money. The day he filed his petition at Chester was the same day as he pawned the bicycle in the same city. B.S. Roberts deposed, serving the summonses on the prisoner, who at first said he knew nothing about the matters alleged in them. Witness had made inquiries, but had been unable to trace men of the name of Reeves and Prout, to whom prisoner at his public examination stated that he sold the bicycle and incubator respectively. Prisoner gave his address on the receipt to the Chester pawnbroker as 53 High Street, but to witness's own knowledge he had not lived there for at least 5 years. The usual formalities incidental to a committal for trial having been gone through, the prisoner elected to make a statement, and said, "This bicycle was pledged by me for £2 10 shillings 6 on November the 29th, 1904, at 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning. To make up the money to file my petition in the afternoon. Also I sold the poultry house to Mr. Edwards in November 1904 for 10 shillings, and I gave him a receipt for the same. He owed me a little bit of money and told me to take the poultry house back instead of it." Mr. Ellis, you had it back again. Prisoner, yes, it was in his possession, and I had it back again. The incubator was left at my house by a man named Reeves for my wife. He owed her £1 8 shillings. It was really detained by her for food and lodgings. I sold the incubator on her behalf. He was then formally committed for trial at the next quarter sessions at Mold. For stealing the dog he was committed to hard labour for 14 days, and at the expiration of that period bail to be allowed until the sessions, himself in £10 and one surety for the like amount.